This is Autism, a guide to what every parent and family member needs to know to understand autism. Written by Tony Barnett, read by Jessica Boudreau. Chapter 1. What is autism? Most reputable scientists now believe that autism has existed throughout the history of humankind. Some have speculated that ancient legends about changelings are actually stories of children with autism. Celtic mythology is redolent with stories of elves and visitors from the other side who steal a human child and leave their own damaged child in its place. The child left behind is usually mute, remote, and distant, staring into space and unresponsive to its adult caretakers. We must bear in mind that in times gone by, and in some cultures today, children who are unlike the average expected child are seen to be victims of evil or some sort. In 1801, the French physician Itard took into his care a boy who had been found wandering naked in the forest. It was believed at the time that the boy had lived alone in the forest since early childhood. The boy couldn't speak and was unresponsive to human contact. He has come to be known as Sauvage de l'Aveyron, or Wild Boy of Aveyron. Itard's tireless efforts to help this boy marked the beginning of special education. Although autism was not a term used at the time, there are those who speculate that the Wild Boy of Aveyron was a child with autism. The real history of autism dates back only 100 years to the time of the Swiss psychiatrist Eugène Bleuler. In 1911, Bleuler was writing about a group of people then identified as having schizophrenia. In his writing, he coined the term autism to describe their seeming near-total absorption with themselves and distance from others. Writing in the early 1920s, Carl Gustav Jung introduced the terminology of extrovert and introvert. Jung viewed these personality types as being present in all people to one degree or another. However, he noted that in extreme cases that in the language of his day were called neurotic, a person could become totally absorbed into himself or herself. It was not until the late 1930s and early 1940s in America that the term autism joined the official psychiatric nomenclature. Psychiatrists Leo Kanner, who started working with a particular group of children in 1938, and Hans Asperger, both published findings and writings in 1943 and 1944, and wrote about groups of children they had studied and called either autistic or children with autistic psychopathy. Both authors believed these children displayed a constellation of symptoms that were unique and represented a syndrome not previously identified. As the children they studied seemed unable to engage in normal human relationships, they borrowed Bleuler's term autism to identify the syndrome. The defining difference between the work of Kanner and Asperger and that of Bleuler is that for the former two, the condition they describe is present at birth, while for Bleuler, the condition appears much later in life. Another important difference in these early pioneers of autism is that the Kanner group is quite self-contained and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?